Dr. Sarah Chen yawned as she stared at the computer screen in front of her. It was another quiet night at the SETI Institute in California. For years, she and her team had been searching for signs of alien life, listening to the endless static of space. But tonight was different. As Sarah reached for her coffee mug, a strange sound crackled through her headphones. She froze, her heart racing. It wasn't static. It wasn't a glitch. It was a pattern. "Hey, Mike," she called to her colleague. "Come listen to this." Mike hurried over, his eyes wide with excitement. As they listened together, the pattern became clearer. It was a signal, repeating over and over again. "We need to call Dr. Anderson," Mike said, his voice shaking. Within hours, the SETI Institute was buzzing with activity. Scientists from all over the world joined video calls, trying to make sense of the signal. They all agreed on one thing. This was not natural. It was artificial. It was alien. As news of the signal spread, the whole world seemed to hold its breath. People gathered in front of TV screens and smartphones, waiting for updates. World leaders held emergency meetings. The United Nations called for calm. Dr. Chen and her team worked day and night to decode the message. They used powerful computers and complex algorithms, trying to understand the alien language. After a week of non-stop work, they had a breakthrough. It's a cry for help," Dr. Chen announced to a room full of tired but excited scientists. The alien message was simple but urgent. A highly advanced civilization, millions of light years away, was facing a terrible threat. They needed help, and they were reaching out to anyone who could hear them. As the news spread, reactions around the world were mixed. Some people were excited about the possibility of meeting aliens. Others were scared, worried that answering the call might bring danger to Earth. In New York, the United Nations held an emergency session. Representatives from every country argued about what to do. "We can't ignore this," said the American ambassador. "It's our duty as an advanced species to help others in need." "But what if it's a trap?" the Russian representative countered. "We could be inviting our own destruction." As the debate raged on, scientists and engineers around the world started making plans. If humanity decided to help, how would they do it? Could they build a spaceship that could travel such vast distances? What kind of help could they offer to a civilization that was clearly more advanced than their own? In a small town in India, a young girl named Priya watched the news with wide eyes. She dreamed of becoming an astronaut, and now the possibility of space travel seemed more real than ever. "Maybe I'll be the one to go and help them," she told her parents, who smiled at her enthusiasm. In a lab in Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka and his team worked on designs for an advanced propulsion system. They had been developing it for years, but now their work took on a new urgency. "This could be our chance to test it," Dr. Tanaka told his excited team. "If we can perfect this engine, we might be able to reach the aliens in time to help." As days turned into weeks, the world waited for a decision. Would humanity answer the call, or would they stay silent, leaving the distant aliens to face their fate alone? In her office at SETI, Dr. Chen looked out at the night sky. Somewhere out there, an alien civilization was waiting, hoping for a response. She thought about all the years she had spent searching for signs of life in the universe. Now that they had found it, would they turn their backs? As she pondered these questions, a shooting star streaked across the sky. Dr. Chen smiled, taking it as a sign. Whatever happened next, she knew that humanity was on the brink of its greatest adventure. The universe had called, and now it was up to them to answer. 3 months had passed since the alien signal first reached Earth. The world was divided, torn between fear and curiosity. But a decision had to be made. On a warm summer day, the United Nations building in New York was surrounded by crowds. People from all over the world had gathered, holding signs that read, "Answer the call," and "Protect Earth first." Inside, world leaders sat in tense silence as the Secretary General stepped up to the podium. After much debate and consideration, she began, her voice echoing through the hall. "We have decided to answer the call for help." The room erupted in a mix of cheers and worried murmurs. Outside, the crowd's reaction was just as mixed. Some people hugged each other in joy, while others shook their heads in disbelief. With the decision made, Earth sprung into action. The next challenge was clear: how to reach a civilization millions of light years away. In a secret facility in the Nevada desert, the world's top scientists and engineers gathered. Dr. Chen from HFY was there, along with Dr. Tanaka from Tokyo and experts from every corner of the globe. "We need to build the most advanced spaceship ever created," said Dr. Tanaka, presenting his propulsion system designs. "And we need to do it fast." The project, named Operation Cosmic Response, became the largest collaborative effort in human history. Countries that were once enemies now worked side by side. Resources poured in from every nation. In orbit around Earth, construction of the spaceship began. It was named Hope, a symbol of humanity's mission to help their cosmic neighbors. As the ship took shape, another challenge emerged: who would go on this dangerous journey? A worldwide search for the bravest and brightest began. Astronauts, scientists, linguists, and diplomats from all cultures were needed. The team had to represent the best of humanity. In a small apartment in Moscow, Yuri Sokolov, a brilliant young physicist, received a call. His groundbreaking work on dark matter had caught the attention of the selection committee. "This is the chance of a lifetime," Yuri told his worried parents. "I have to go." Halfway across the world, in a bustling Cairo hospital, Dr. Fatima Khalil hung up the phone with shaking hands. Her expertise in xenobiology, the study of alien life, had earned her a spot on the mission. "I've spent my whole career imagining alien life," she whispered to herself. "Now I might actually meet it." As the crew came together, they began intense training. They learned to operate the advanced systems of the Hope, studied the alien message in detail, and prepared for every possible scenario they might face in deep space. Maria Rodriguez, a seasoned astronaut from Argentina, was chosen as the mission commander. As she watched her diverse crew train, she felt a mix of pride and anxiety. "We carry the hopes of our entire species," she told them during a briefing. "But we also carry the best of what humanity has to offer. Our diversity is our strength." Meanwhile, engineers worked tirelessly to pack the ship with supplies. They included seeds from Earth's plants, samples of art and music, and databases containing the sum of human knowledge. These would be humanity's gifts to their new alien friends. As the launch date approached, the whole world held its breath. Schools were closed, and work stopped as people gathered around screens to watch the historic moment. On the day of the launch, the Hope stood gleaming on the launch pad, its sleek design a testament to human ingenuity. The crew of 20, representing every continent on Earth, boarded the ship with determined faces. Commander Rodriguez took one last look at the blue planet below as the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. In her village in India, a now teenage Priya watched with tears in her eyes, her childhood dream of space travel now a reality for others. 7, 6, 5. Dr. Chen held her breath in the mission control room, thinking of all the years of searching that had led to this moment. 4, 3, 2. Around the world, billions of humans joined their hopes and prayers, united in this historic endeavor. 1. Liftoff. With a roar that seemed to shake the entire planet, the Hope rose into the sky, carrying with it the future of two civilizations. As it disappeared into the blue, humanity looked to the stars with new eyes, ready to take their place in a larger, more complex universe. The mission to answer the universe's cry for help had begun. The starship Hope streaked through the darkness of space, leaving Earth far behind. Inside, the crew of 20 settled into their new home for what would be the longest journey in human history. Commander Maria Rodriguez floated through the ship's main control room, checking systems and ensuring everything was running smoothly. It had been 3 months since they left Earth, and the blue planet was now just a tiny dot in the vast emptiness of space. "Status report," she called out to her team. Dr. Fatima Khalil looked up from her console. "All biological systems are stable, Commander. Our plant nurseries are thriving." Yuri Sokolov chimed in. "Propulsion systems are operating at 100% efficiency. We're maintaining our course to the target coordinates." As the crew went about their duties, they faced challenges they had never imagined. The vastness of space was both beautiful and terrifying. Some days, the isolation weighed heavily on them. To keep morale high, they organized movie nights and game tournaments. They celebrated birthdays and Earth holidays, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy in the most abnormal of situations. One day, as the ship passed through an uncharted sector of space, alarms began to blare. "What's happening?" Commander Rodriguez demanded, rushing to the main console. Lai Wei, the ship's navigator, frantically typed on his keyboard. "We're approaching some kind of anomaly, Commander. It's not on any of our charts." Through the ship's windows, the crew saw a strange, swirling mass of energy. It pulsed with colors they had never seen before, defying description. "All hands, brace for impact," Rodriguez shouted into the ship-wide comm system. The Hope shuddered as it entered the anomaly. Lights flickered, and for a moment, it seemed as if time itself had stopped. Then, with a lurch, they were through. As systems came back online, the crew realized something incredible had happened. They had traveled an impossible distance in mere seconds. "According to our calculations," Yuri said, his voice filled with awe, "we've just crossed half the distance to our destination. It's as if we found a shortcut through space-time." The discovery was exciting, but it also brought new worries. What other unknown phenomena might they encounter on their journey? As weeks turned into months, the crew faced more challenges. A micrometeoroid storm damaged one of their communication arrays. Dr. Khalil had to use her xenobiology knowledge to save their plants from a mysterious space fungus. But with each challenge, the crew grew stronger and more united. They were no longer just representatives of their countries. They had become a family, bound by their shared mission and experiences. One quiet evening, as most of the crew was asleep, Yuri sat in the observation dome, staring out at the stars. Dr. Khalil floated in to join him. "Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing?" Yuri asked softly. Fatima nodded. "Every day. But then I remember the message, the cry for help. How could we not answer?" Their conversation was interrupted by an excited shout from the control room. "Everyone, come quick. You need to see this." The crew gathered around the main view screen. In the distance, they could see a faint blue light. It was growing stronger by the second. "Is that?" Commander Rodriguez breathed. "Yes," Lai Wei confirmed, his voice trembling with excitement. "It's the first sign of the alien civilization. We're approaching their solar system." A mix of emotions swept through the crew: excitement, fear, anticipation. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for first contact with an alien species. As they drew closer, they began to receive more detailed transmissions. The aliens were sending them navigation data, guiding them safely into their system. "They know we're coming," Dr. Khalil said, her eyes wide with wonder. "They've been waiting for us." Commander Rodriguez took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. "All right, team. This is what we've come all this way for. Let's make humanity proud." As the blue light grew brighter, filling their view screens, the crew of the Hope prepared themselves for the most important moment in human history. They had traveled across the stars, faced the unknown, and overcome incredible odds. Now, they were about to meet the civilization that had called out to them. The moment of first contact was at hand, and with it, the dawn of a new era for humanity. The starship Hope glided into orbit around a planet that shimmered with hues of purple and green. The crew of 20 humans stared in awe at the alien world below them. This was it, the home of the civilization that had called for help across the vastness of space. Commander Maria Rodriguez's voice was steady as she spoke into the ship's communication system. "This is the Earth ship Hope responding to your distress signal. We come in peace and offer our assistance." For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a response came through, translated by their advanced computers. "Welcome, Earthlings. We are the Zorans. Your arrival brings us great joy and hope. Please, prepare for landing." Following the Zorans' instructions, the Hope descended through the planet's atmosphere. As they broke through the cloud cover, gasps echoed through the ship. The landscape below was unlike anything they had ever seen. Crystalline structures stretched towards the sky, reflecting the light of two suns. Strange, shape-shifting creatures floated through the air. It was beautiful, but something seemed wrong. Dr. Fatima Khalil frowned as she studied her readings. "Commander, the planet's ecosystem is highly unstable. It's as if it's dying." A ship landed in a vast plaza surrounded by towering spires. As the crew prepared to disembark, tension filled the air. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for meeting an alien species. The ship's door opened with a hiss. Commander Rodriguez took a deep breath and stepped out onto the alien soil, becoming the first human to set foot on another inhabited world. A group of Zorans waited for them. They were tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and large, expressive eyes. One stepped forward, bowing slightly. "I am Silana, leader of the Zoran Council. We welcome you to our world, though we wish it were under better circumstances." As the human crew gathered around, Silana explained their dire situation. A cosmic anomaly had entered their solar system, disrupting the delicate balance of their planet's ecosystem. If nothing was done, their world would become uninhabitable within a year. "We have tried everything within our power," Silana said, her voice filled with sadness. "Our technology, advanced as it is, cannot stop this threat. That is why we sent out the call for help." Yuri Sokolov, the young physicist, spoke up. "But why us? Surely there are other, more advanced civilizations out there." Silana's eyes seemed to twinkle. "The universe is vast, but life is rare. You were the only ones who answered our call. And sometimes, a fresh perspective is what's needed most." As the Zorans led the human crew to their central command center, the full scale of the problem became clear. Holographic displays showed the anomaly, a swirling mass of dark energy that was slowly but surely tearing their world apart. Dr. Khalil and her team immediately began analyzing data, while engineers from both species started brainstorming solutions. The Zorans were impressed by the humans' unique approach to problem-solving. "You think in ways we never considered," one Zoran scientist marveled as Yuri explained a complex physics theory. But as the days passed, the challenge seemed insurmountable. The anomaly resisted every attempt to disperse or deflect it. Frustration and despair began to set in. One evening, as the twin suns set, casting the ethereal glow over the crystalline city, Commander Rodriguez stood on a balcony with Silana. "We won't give up," Maria promised. "Humanity has faced its own disasters. We've learned that even in the darkest times, there's always hope." Silana turned her large eyes to the human. "Your species is young, yet you carry such wisdom. Perhaps that is why the universe guided you to us." As they spoke, a commotion erupted from the command center. Yuri burst onto the balcony, his eyes wild with excitement. "Commander, Silana, I think we found a solution," he exclaimed. "It's risky, and it'll take everything we've got, but if it works..." Silana and Maria shared a look of cautious optimism. For the first time since the humans had arrived, a real sense of hope filled the air. As they hurried back to join the others, both human and Zoran knew that the real challenge was just beginning. But together, perhaps they could achieve the impossible and save a world. The fate of an entire civilization now rested in their hands. The command center buzzed with excitement as Yuri Sokolov explained his plan. Humans and Zorans alike listened intently, hope glimmering in their eyes. The anomaly is like a knot in space-time, Yuri said, pointing to a holographic model. We can't untie it, but maybe we can cut it. Dr. Fatima Khalil stepped forward. Yuri's idea is to use a concentrated burst of energy to disrupt the anomaly structure. It's like using a laser to pop a bubble. The Zorans looked impressed but confused. One of their scientists, Vex, spoke up. But where would we get such energy? Our world's resources are already strained. Commander Maria Rodriguez smiled. That's where human ingenuity comes in. We're going to build a solar collector. The plan was audacious. They would construct a massive array of solar panels in orbit around the planet, using materials from both the Hope and Zoran technology. This array would focus the energy from the system's twin suns into a powerful beam. As the teams got to work, the true spirit of cooperation emerged. Humans taught Zorans about improvisation and thinking outside the box, while Zorans shared their advanced understanding of physics and energy manipulation. Lai Wei, the ship's navigator, worked with Zoran engineers to plot the perfect orbit for the solar array. We need to maximize exposure to both suns, he explained. It's like creating a perfect dance in space. Days turned into weeks as the construction progressed. The work was hard, but a sense of camaraderie grew between the two species. They shared meals, swapped stories, and even taught each other games from their respective worlds. One day, as they were taking a short break, a young Zoran named Zila approached Dr. Khalil. Is it true that on Earth, you have oceans full of water? She asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Fatima smiled. Yes, we do. And forests, and mountains, and deserts too. Zila looked sad. Our world was once like that. I hope we can save it, so I can see it beautiful again. Fatima put a comforting hand on Zila's shoulder. We'll do everything we can. That's a promise. As the solar array neared completion, new problems arose. The anomaly's effects were intensifying. Earthquakes shook the Zoran cities, and strange storms ravaged the landscape. Commander Rodriguez and Silana worked tirelessly to coordinate evacuation efforts and maintain calm among the Zoran population. Your people have been so brave, Maria said to Silana one evening. Silana's skin shimmered with emotion. As have yours, Commander. You came across the stars to help strangers. We will never forget this. Finally, the day of the attempt arrived. The solar array was in position, a glittering structure larger than anything humans had ever built in space. In the control room, tension was high. Yuri and the Zoran scientists made final calculations. Dr. Khalil monitored the anomaly's activity. Lai Wei kept the array perfectly aligned with the suns. Commander Rodriguez took a deep breath. All teams report in. One by one, each section confirmed they were ready. Humans and Zorans worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of this monumental task. On my mark, Maria said, her finger hovering over the activation switch. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The array came to life. A beam of concentrated solar energy, more powerful than anything either species had ever created, shot towards the anomaly. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the anomaly began to fluctuate. Its swirling mass of dark energy pulsed and writhed. It's working, Yuri shouted. The anomaly's structure is destabilizing. But their jubilation was short-lived. Alarms began to blare across the control room. The anomaly is fighting back. A Zoran scientist cried out. It's creating gravitational pulses. The entire planet shook. In space, the solar array began to break apart under the strain. We need more power. Yuri yelled over the chaos. Just a little more and the anomaly will collapse. Commander Rodriguez looked around the room, seeing determination in every face, human and Zoran alike. In that moment, she knew what had to be done. Divert power from the city's shields, she ordered. And from the Hope, too. Silana gasped. But that could leave us vulnerable. Maria met her gaze steadily. Sometimes we have to risk everything to save everything. As the shields dropped and the Hope's systems powered down, a surge of energy flowed into the array. The beam intensified, burning brighter than a star. With a final, reality-shaking pulse, the anomaly collapsed in on itself and vanished. A stunned silence fell over the control room. Then, slowly, cheers began to rise. Humans and Zorans hugged each other, laughing and crying with relief. Outside, the twin suns shone on a world that, against all odds, had been saved. And in that moment, two civilizations from distant corners of the galaxy found that they were no longer strangers, but friends united by an incredible journey. The celebration after the anomaly's destruction was short-lived. As the dust settled, both humans and Zorans realized their troubles were far from over. The anomaly may be gone, Silana announced grimly, but it has left deep wounds in our world. Dr. Fatima Khalil nodded, studying her readings. The planet's core is unstable. If we don't act fast, it could tear itself apart. Commander Maria Rodriguez looked around the room, seeing determination in every face. Then we'll fix it. We've come too far to give up now. The next few days were a flurry of activity. Yuri Sokolov worked with Zoran scientists to develop a plan to stabilize the planet's core. They would need to drill to the center of the planet and inject a specially designed compound. It's like giving the planet medicine, Yuri explained to the others. Meanwhile, Lai Wei and a team of engineers began modifying the Hope for deep underground travel. We're turning a spaceship into a drill, he said with a grin. Never thought I'd do that in my career. As preparations continued, a new problem arose. The unstable core was causing massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The Zoran cities were in danger. Silana's voice was heavy as she spoke to Commander Rodriguez. We need to evacuate our people to safe zones, but our transport systems are damaged. Maria's eyes lit up with an idea. We can help with that. Our shuttlecrafts may be small, but they're fast and maneuverable. And so, as one team prepared for the mission to the planet's core, others began a massive evacuation effort. Human pilots, guided by Zoran knowledge of the terrain, flew dangerous missions through crumbling cities and treacherous weather. Dr. Khalil found herself on one of these missions, piloting the shuttle through a storm of ash and lightning. Beside her sat Zila, the young Zoran she had befriended. I'm scared, Zila admitted as the shuttle shook violently. Fatima gave her a reassuring smile. It's okay to be scared, but remember, fear can make us stronger. It reminds us what we're fighting for. Days passed in a blur of heroic efforts and narrow escapes. Finally, the Hope was ready for its most daring mission yet. The ship, now equipped with a massive drill, descended into a deep crack in the planet's surface. Inside, the crew felt the temperature rise as they journeyed towards the core. Hull integrity at 95%. Lai Wei reported, his hands dancing over the controls. We're approaching the injection point. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared as a voice shouted, Magma surge incoming. Commander Rodriguez gripped her seat. Evasive maneuvers. Lai Wei expertly piloted the ship, dodging streams of molten rock. But they were running out of time. We need to get closer, Yuri said, his voice tense. The compound won't work unless we're at the exact coordinates. Maria made a split-second decision. Take us in, Lai. Everyone else, brace for impact. The Hope plunged deeper, alarms screaming as the heat intensified. Just when it seemed they couldn't take any more, Yuri shouted, Now, release the compound. With a hiss, the stabilizing agent was injected into the planet's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the violent shaking began to subside. It's working. Dr. Khalil exclaimed, watching her monitors in amazement. The core is stabilizing. Cheers erupted throughout the ship, but their celebration was cut short as Lai Wei's voice rang out. We've taken too much damage. We're losing power. The Hope began to rise, but slowly. too slowly. The intense heat was melting through the hull. "We're not going to make it," someone whispered. Just then, a familiar voice crackled over the radio. "This is Zoran Rescue Team. We're here to bring you home." A fleet of Zoran ships, guided by the human pilots who had helped with the evacuation, descended into the chasm. Using tractor beams, they latched onto the Hope and began to pull. Inch by inch, meter by meter, they rose. The hull groaned under the strain but held. Finally, with a last burst of speed, they broke through to the surface. As the Hope and its rescue team landed, humans and Zorans poured out of their ships, embracing each other in joy and relief. They had faced the impossible together and emerged victorious. Commander Rodriguez found Silana in the crowd. The Zoran leader's eyes shimmered with emotion. "You risked everything for us," she said softly. Maria smiled, looking around at the mixed group of humans and Zorans. "That's what friends do," she replied. "And I think we've all made some good friends here." As the twin suns set on the healing world, both species knew that this was more than just a rescue mission. It was the beginning of a new era of cooperation and friendship that would span the stars. As the dust settled and the Zoran world began to heal, both humans and Zorans found themselves entering a new chapter. The successful mission had not only saved a planet, but had also forged an unbreakable bond between two distant civilizations. In the weeks that followed, the crew of the Hope worked tirelessly alongside their Zoran friends. They helped rebuild cities, restore ecosystems, and implement new technologies to protect the planet from future threats. Dr. Fatima Khalil stood in a field of newly planted crops, marveling at how quickly life was returning to the once barren soil. Beside her, Zilla, the young Zoran she had befriended, was busy tending to strange, shimmering plants. "These are glowberries," Zilla explained excitedly. "They used to be rare, but now they're growing everywhere." Fatima smiled, realizing how much both she and Zilla had grown during their time together. "It's amazing what can happen when different worlds come together," she said softly. Meanwhile, Yuri Sokolov and a team of Zoran scientists were hard at work in a newly built research center. They were combining human and Zoran knowledge to develop new technologies that could benefit both worlds. "By mixing our different approaches," Yuri explained to a group of eager students, "we're making discoveries neither of our species could have made alone." As the days passed, news of the successful mission spread across the galaxy. Other alien civilizations, intrigued by the story of cooperation between humans and Zorans, began to reach out. Commander Maria Rodriguez found herself in meeting after meeting, talking with holographic representatives from dozens of different species. "It seems our little rescue mission has opened up a whole new era of galactic diplomacy," she said to Xilana one evening. The Zoran leader nodded, her skin shimmering with excitement. "Indeed, and we have humanity to thank for it. Your bravery in answering our call has inspired others to reach out across the stars." Soon, plans were underway for a grand summit. Representatives from Earth and dozens of other worlds would gather on the Zoran homeworld to discuss the formation of a new interstellar alliance. As the day of the summit approached, the crew of the Hope realized their time on the Zoran world was coming to an end. They would soon need to return to Earth, bringing with them the incredible news of their adventures. On their last evening, a great celebration was held in the capital city. Humans and Zorans danced together under the light of the twin moons, sharing stories and laughter. Lai Wei, the skilled navigator who had guided them through so many perils, raised a glass in a toast. "To new friends," he said, looking around at the mixed crowd, "and to the adventures yet to come." As the party continued, Commander Rodriguez slipped away for a quiet moment. She found herself on a balcony, gazing up at the star-filled sky. Silana joined her, a sense of mutual understanding passing between them. "Your people will always have a home here," Silana said softly. "You came as strangers, but you leave as family." Maria smiled, feeling a mix of joy and sadness. "And the Zorans will always be welcome on Earth. This is just the beginning of our journey together. The next day, as the Hope prepared for departure, crowds of Zorans gathered to bid farewell to their human friends. Gifts were exchanged, promises to stay in touch were made, and more than a few tears were shed. As the crew boarded their ship, each of them knew they were leaving a part of themselves behind. But they were also taking something precious with them, the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that friendship could flourish even across the vast distances of space. The Hope lifted off, rising through the atmosphere of the Zoran world. As they broke orbit, the crew took one last look at the planet they had helped save. "Set a course for home, Lee," Commander Rodriguez said, her voice filled with pride and anticipation. "We have quite a story to tell." As the ship engaged its faster-than-light drive, streaking away towards distant Earth, both humans and Zorans knew that this was not an end, but a beginning. They had written the first chapter in a new story, one of unity, friendship, and hope that would span the galaxies. The universe, vast and mysterious as it was, suddenly felt a little smaller, a little warmer, and full of endless possibilities.